adding to Red Bull's woes, next weekend, you've already talked about it, the Singapore Grand Prix last year. Red Bull wasn't good at all. They're missing out on the podium. Sainz, Norris, and Hamilton finished on the podium last year in Singapore. Max Verstappen's winless streak is now at 7, the longest since 2020. And if Max Verstappen does not win the Singapore Grand Prix, can you believe we'll be sitting at 3 months without a Max Verstappen win, which is something I did not think I'd ever say in the year 2024. Starting with you, Joe, what does Red Bull do this week to prepare for Singapore? I have a feeling, if I was in the Red Bull factory, I'd be dreading this week because this is obviously like one of their worst tracks in the entire F1 calendar.
Yeah, after last year, you got to feel like this is one of their worst tracks. But they have to really just focus on, okay, what have we done that has worked for the tracks we're good at? That's the best thing they could do for Singapore. They've had success here in the past. It's just not last year at all. They don't have the car when it comes to the top speed. Well, there's 20, 22 corners at Singapore. A lot of corners. It's going to be hot. It's a night race. They could really just focus on having that good handling car to take those corners faster. That could be their strength. I think this is a good opportunity for them, potentially, mainly Max. I'm sorry, I just don't have the confidence in Sergio Perez right now. Max to try to get a podium, maybe third place. Ferrari's going to be hard to beat. McLaren's going to be hard to beat. He could beat out of those four. I think he could beat at least one of them. Potentially both of them. One from each team. Either the Ferrari don't show up. I think McLaren's the favorite. Red Bull, I think, have a tall task. At the end of the day, they just got to focus on what they've done good at, like they do in other races where they have won.
Yeah, and I wish we were talking in a more optimistic way about Perez, because in past he's been incredibly good at these kinds of street circuits like Saudi Arabia. Like I wish we weren't in this kind of scenario, but I think it's going to be a matter of what did Adrian Newey do from the drawing board in reaction to that? Did they put more eggs in the flat track basket? Did they make that car better on the more traditional tracks? Data would argue yes after what happened in the opening rounds here. Or did we see him maybe go back and, try and address some of those issues and what kind of kept that car bogged down last year? So I think we're not going to know a lot about car performance until we actually get back there. But I think I think if anything, we're going to be able to look back and say Red Bull probably got some pretty good data from that weekend, if anything, on how to address that, especially in a team that's eventually not going to have Adrian Newey.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely a long week ahead for Red Bull. We'll see how they respond. They may surprise us and go out and win the Singapore Grand Prix. Will Sergio Perez reclaim his title as king of the streets? Like you say, Joe, don't really have much confidence in that right now. Can Max Verstappen finally break this winless streak that is totally unexpected? So his winless streak doesn't go into the third month. Still a lot to watch out for in Formula One.